Hello, welcome back. In this video, we will work on different ways of creating special NumPy arrays. It's exciting, right? So let's get started. So we have worked on Boolean indexing. We have seen different ways of creating NumPy arrays by working on arrange and linspace function. We have also seen basic indexing and slicing. Just make sure you practice the same part because now we'll be working on some other special creation functions with NumPy arrays which is similar to our matrices. Where in matrices, if you remember, we have unit matrix and zeros matrix and identity matrix. Yes, we can replicate the same thing on NumPy arrays. So those are generally regarded as special functions, right? So just make sure if your notebook is run again, you should see the numbers over here and you should see the memory allocated. If that is not done, that means you need to restart your notebook, right? If you want to work on the same cell, it's just continue so that you need not import NumPy again because it is already imported in the beginning. So I'll be continuing the same notebook, right? So let's work on some special functions which are ones, so that we can create ones array, zeros and identity along with arrays, and we'll work on some other things, right? We'll be working on full so that we can fill the arrays with some values. So make sure if you want to customize it, you can just make it, it's up to you. So first let's understand how do we create an array filled with complete ones. So that's where we'll use ones, because ones np.ones is a function. Ones is a function in NumPy where it returns a new array setting values to 1. It returns a new array setting to 1, so that we can remember, you can understand how does this is related, because we need not remember any function within the any argument within the ones array. Once we call the function, automatically Colab will suggest you what are the values you need to pass into it. So setting values to 1. And the other thing we can do with ones is, if we have an array with the same shape and type, we can automatically convert them into ones array. That's where we'll use ones like. So the same thing can be done for zeros, and we also have another type of array which is full, where we can fill the values inside the array with our defined value. So when I go for ones like, it return an array of ones with the shape. This is very, very important. With the shape and type of input. What is the type of input we have? I mean, if it is of 3 by 2, automatically that array will be of the same shape, which will have only ones in it. So first let's create a ones array. So if NumPy is already imported, you just need not worry to again import it. It will be very much easier. So first let's create, how do we create a ones array? So first I'll go for creating something like a is equal to np dot, so because NumPy I have read as np, so np dot ones. So you see over there, whenever you write np dot ones, return a new array of given shape and type filled with ones. See, int or sequence of int shape of the array, example 2 by 3 or 2. So what happens if I throw 2 here? So I'll just pass 2 inside it and I'll print a. So when you see the result, you'll be having a one-dimensional array filled with ones, right? Because we just gave only one element in it. So it is treating as a one-dimensional array. That is the reason when we give np.ones, automatically that will be treated with ones array. That will be converted as ones. Suppose if you want to create a multi-dimensional array, what you want to do? Just make sure you give p is equal to np dot ones of, just pass your dimension, because it is telling what is the dimension, and d type you can mention whether it is int or float, and the default order is C, which stands for C style and or column major Fortran style. So it's basically we'll keep with the default. Suppose if I want to create an array of 2 by 3 shape, which is filled with 1, so I'll give np.ones of 2, 3. There you go. You got 2 rows and 3 columns. So that is how you would create a ones array. This is how, whether you want to create any dimension, you can just go ahead, whether it is 2 dimension or 3 dimension, whatever it is. So if you pass one element, automatically it is a one dimensional array. So that is about ones. In the same way, if we have any array and we want to convert that thing to, if you want to convert that thing to ones, what we can do? Let's try to give, I give a is equal to np dot array of, let's pass some values. So I'll give 1, 2, 3. Make sure you're giving square braces correctly. 4, 5, 6. Right? So I'll print A. So you can see the array of 2 rows and 3 columns. Now what I want to do, I want to convert my given array to ones. That means I can give B is equal to np dot, it's not ones. Now I'll throw ones like. So when I give ones like, see, return array of ones with the same shape and type as a given array. So D type, order, sub key is boolean. So it's simple. So now I'll try to give A within it. So now when I print B, I should see the same shape filled with ones. There you go. Because when you give B dot shape, the shape would be 2 by 3. Because our input A shape is 2 by 3. So this is how, with the help of ones like, you could see whatever the array you give, it will automatically convert it into ones array. Let's go for the same thing for zeros. So you already seen ones, right? The same thing will be done for zeros. So when I give zeros, so I'll write for the same thing for zeros. So when I go for zeros, it return a new array setting values to 0. That means the array will be completely filled with 0. If you want to create such kind of things, you can directly use it. You need not directly write the zeros. So that is with 0. The same thing will go for zeros like. So what I can do is I'll just copy this, but I'll change. In place of ones, I'll keep it as zeros. Because if you are having like in it, that means you can give your array of any shape. It's up to you. So zeros like, it return an array of zeros with the shape and type of input. So now let me create an array where I want only of zeros. So that's what I'll do. I'll just give like this. So C is equal to np dot zeros of. So np dot zeros of, if I pass only one input, that means it will become a one-dimensional array, right? So it becomes a 1D array. So when I print C, you could see a one-dimensional array of all zeros, right? That is one-dimensional array. So when you go for, if you want to give two-dimensional, what do? You just go for np dot zeros of, just pass the input here. Suppose if you don't give braces here, what happens? So I'll pass like this 3, 2 and I'll print D. Let me show you what is the result. See, cannot interpret 2 as a data type because it cannot understand what is the type you are passing. Just mention that thing within braces, then only it will understand that you are giving a two-dimensional array. The shape is 3 by 2. So that is how we can go for same to fill the values with 0, you can give zeros. And in the same way, if you want to convert the given array to zeros, what you could do? Just make sure we can pass our input. So what I'll do is I'll take the same input here and I want to convert that thing to zeros. So I'll just paste it here. You can create your own thing, it's up to you. So I'll give B is equal to np dot, I'll take now zeros like. So just go for zeros like, then automatically it will convert your input array into filled with zeros. So now I'll print B, there you go. You could see the given array has been transformed to zeros, whatever the shape your array is having, right? So that is how you could see the difference in ones like and zeros like. So this is how you could see the different ways of creating special functions with some zeros and ones, right? Now we have the other thing which is some very widely used. I mean, it depends on the input we try to take, where it is full and full like. Full in the sense the name sounds like filling the values, right? Yes. So when I go for full, what does it do? It return a new array. It return a new array of given shape. It return a new array of given shape filled with some value. Filled with value. That means we need to provide what we want to fill. That is mandatory. And the other thing is full like, where you give the array, it will transform it. So full like will just make sure it return an array or it return a new array of the given shape. It return new array with shape of input filled with value. Always remember when you are using like function to it, whether it is zeros or ones or full like, that means you can transform your given array. The shape of input with the shape of input filled with value. So this is very important. So now what I'll do is, first let's work on what happens if we give full. So let me try to give, because when we gave np dot zeros, it gave complete zeros. When we gave np dot ones, it gave complete ones. Now let me try to give. So take any variable, s is equal to np dot full of. So whenever you write the function, see, return a new array of given shape and type filled with some fill value, whether it is 1 dimension or 2 dimension, we need to mention this fill value. Suppose if I give like this 2 and I am trying to see the result, it will clearly throw me an error. See, full function is missing one required positional argument, fill value. You are not mentioning what is the value to be filled, right? Suppose if I give 2 comma 10, if I try to give in this way, what happened over there? See, you gave 2 over there, so it is filling with, when I give 2 over there, it doesn't mean that suppose if you have seen in the above example for one dimensional array, what happened over there when we gave np dot zeros or np dot 1? So 2 in the sense we are taking 2 values, right? Same way, when you gave 2 comma 10, it is taking 2 columns over there and it is only one row. It is a one dimensional array. Don't treat it as columns. It's a one dimensional array. So automatically both the values will be filled with 10. Right? So it's better to go for 2 dimension. That means when you go for 2 comma 3, that means, so whatever values you give, 2 by 3, so 2 rows, 3 columns will be filled with 10. So that is how you could see. And even if you want to go for np dot full of, just make sure we need to pass the given value. What is the value you want to fill, and d type is common. And when I just give f, so automatically it is 3 by 5. 3 rows, 5 columns filled with 25. So this is how you could see with full. That is, we need to mention the what is the value you want to fill, right? The same thing for full like, right? If you go for full like, whatever the array you have, that will be filled. So what we'll do is, let's try to make it different this time. We'll be working on arrange function. So you already know what does arrange function will do. So I want to give np dot arrange of 10. Let's go for 10. np dot arrange of 10. So when I give x, so automatically starts at 0 and ends at 10 minus 1. It is 9. That's good. Now what I'll do is, I want to take this array and I want to fill my own value. Something like, so what I'll do is, I'll just give np dot, I want to fill it with x comma, my value should be 33. So when I press enter, shift enter, see, every value has been transformed to 33. This is of one dimension. Very good. The same result. What happens if you want to take a multi-dimensional like this? No issues. You can take it. Just for your understanding, I have gone for arrange function. So whether it is one dimension or n dimension, it is same. So when you go for np dot, just make sure pass it as full like, and pass take your input array A, and what you want to throw, you want to make it with 15. So when you execute this, so automatically the array is filled with value 50. So this is how when you go for full and full like, that means it will be filled with the given value, right? So now we'll have, this is about filling with zeros, ones, and filling with your own values. The same thing happens when we go for identity arrays and I arrays, because identity array and I array is pretty much different. So first let me go for I array. So when I go for I array, it tries to return a new array with the same shape and type what you give. But identity matrix is similar, it is square matrix. The number of rows and columns should be same. The same thing happens here. So that means you cannot give your own shape. But for I array, you could give it. That's what the difference is. The same shape and type as a given array. That's the main difference. So this will be for I array. That is nothing but np dot I. When you take np dot I, that means you are trying to make sure whatever shape you give. But what is the result difference we have? We'll be having it the diagonal as ones. That means, let me throw it, np dot I of, whenever I write it, so automatically it is taking, written a 2D array with ones on the diagonal and zeros elsewhere. That means, suppose if you pass it like this, np dot I of 3, 2, okay, 3, 2, and if I execute this directly, See, tuple object cannot be interpreted as an integer. That means you need not mention in this way. So it is expecting directly with the type. So 3 comma 2, you could see the same thing. So the diagonal is 1 because it's, you see this is 1 comma 1. This is the diagonal is 1. That's fine. But you would like to make it more understanding. So what you can throw? You could throw by passing some value like this. So 3 comma 2. Because if you see the other argument in the I function, it is clearly mentioning m is equal to none. That is number of columns. You won't mention rows and columns. So it is directly, and you can mention the index of the diagonal, which is 0, which is the main diagonal. That means if I give 4 comma 5 and I can mention k is equal to, it is default 0. Suppose if I give like this 4 comma 5, so 4 rows 5 columns, you could clearly see the diagonal is 1. This is not a square array, right? I mean, this is not a square matrix. The rows and columns are not same. So now I'll make sure I change the k value so that my diagonal should shift, right? So now let me press shift enter. You could see the shift in diagonal. See, it is moving one position. The same way, if you go for k is equal to 2, you could see the value of the diagonal shifting towards your right side. So this is with I array. But when you go for identity, it is pretty much different because the identity array will be a square array. Identity array is a square array. That means the shape would be same. The number of rows and columns will be same with ones on the main diagonal. This is very key point. That is main difference between when you go for identity array and I array. That means when you give np dot identity of, you could see n comma d type, there is no something like number of rows and columns. Number of rows and columns in n by n, that means same. Suppose if you give 2, if you pass 2 in it, that will be a 2 by 2. See, 1 comma 1. Suppose you are trying to pass anything like this 2 comma 5, it will clearly throw you an error. Cannot interpret 5 as a data type because it cannot take the other argument. That means if you are trying to give with parenthesis, so you are expecting that it would give the shape, to take the shape. No, it is treated as a tuple, so cannot be interpreted as integer. That means if you are creating an identity array, that will be of same shape and size. Same shape which includes number of rows equal to number of columns. So this is the key takeaway when you compare identity array with the I array. That's it. So these are all the simple functions of creating arrays when you go for ones, zeros, full like, I, identity. And anyways, we are discussing about the diagonal part. I'll introduce one more important function, whether you can refer the documentation or it's up to you. But I want to make it very simple. Suppose if you want to extract the diagonal or construct a diagonal array, we also have another function called as diag. So I'll just introduce that. You could just practice on it because these are all some kind of special functions where you want to create your own arrays. We also have some kind of reshaping coming up because that is very widely used. So when we go for diagonal array, because this is diagonal, right? You see all of these ones, 1, 1, 1, these are all diagonal elements. Whenever you are heard about matrices, diagonal plays a very vital role, right? So suppose if I want to create an array, something like, what I'll do is I'll just create an array with some multi-dimensional. So I'll give 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6 and I'll give 7, 8, 9 so that you could easily understand. Now when I throw A, that will be of 3 by 3, right? 3 rows and 3 columns. That's good. Now I could try to get only diagonal elements like 1, 5, 9 is our diagonal, right? I can do by using a function called as diag. So np.diag of, see, extract a diagonal or construct a diagonal array. That means if V is an array, like V is a 2D array, written a copy of k diagonal. You don't worry about all of them, just pass the input over there and you could see some astonishing result. What is that? You got the diagonal elements, right? Then you can get the values of the diagonal, above values and below values. Yes, the above values will be 2, 3, you can extract them. So you can pass an input because whenever you are giving diag, it is clearly mentioning some other argument also, right? So it is giving k, diagonal in question, the default is 0, use k greater than 0 for diagonals above the main diagonal, k less than 0 below it. That means if you want above values, a comma, so I'll try to give k equal, because k equal to 0 is default, I'll give k equal to 1. What are the diagonal above values? 2 and 6, because the next coming values will be 2 and 6. So you got the same result. If you give positive, you get above values. If you give negative, you'll get below values. You could just play with it. That is k equal to -1. The below values would be 4 and 8. There you go. That's how you could extract it. You could just refer the functions in it. When the arguments within the given function, you could easily get it. So this is how you can extract the diagonal elements within an array by using diag function. So we have understood some special creation functions like ones, zeros, identity, I. We have tried filling the values, and we have also understood how to extract specific diagonals, because if I pass k equal to 0, that is, it provides me all the diagonal elements. That is the reason I am passing positive number to get the values above the diagonal, negative numbers to get below. You can just keep on incrementing the values. K equal to -2, we have only one value. So in that way, you could see the difference in the output. So make sure you keep practicing. So that's how. Just make sure whenever you are creating array, don't forget to close the braces completely. That's where most of the people make mistake. I don't want you to make on that. Just make it very practical, starting by step. So just work on creating these array functions. We'll try to make it more understanding by working on some arithmetic operations in the next video. So in this video, we have understood different ways of creating special NumPy arrays, as we have worked on NumPy.zeros, NumPy.ones, NumPy.I, NumPy.identity, and many more. In the following video, we will work on arithmetic operations on NumPy array. Thank you. I hope you have enjoyed watching it. If you have liked our content, please do hit like button and do subscribe to our YouTube channel for more useful content and exciting updates. If you want to learn such practical content at an affordable cost with Microsoft certification and instructor support, please register at academy.codenan.com. You can also download app from Play Store as Codenan. Never hesitate to raise queries in the comment section, and please do reply with your suggestions for more practical videos. We'll be happy to come up with it. Thank you.